What's up, you guys? It's me again, obviously. Today, I just wanted to kind of do something different, something that I've been kind of scared to do for a while because I feel like, I don't know, it's just really means that I can't be like lukewarm, I guess. Okay, let me just explain what I'm talking about before I get too ahead of myself. Today, I want to talk about my internal conflicts with trusting in God's plan for your life and how I've always struggled with wanting to know what's going to happen next, but not knowing when or how. But I've always been that type of person who is wanting control of my surroundings. And so whenever I don't have control, it freaks me out. And so any single time that I didn't have control over my surroundings, I always would start to overanalyze my situations. What that means, that didn't really make sense. So this summer I talked about having a job lined up to go to Destin. And if you know me, you know that I love the beach and that's what I had my heart set on. I was so ready to leave Louisiana and like I've been looking forward to this job all year. And so of course, I'm okay, nothing is gonna go wrong. Everything's perfect. Everything's in line for me. But, sometimes God's gonna always wreck your plans. And for me, that was something that I was like, okay, I thought this was your plan for me, God, but maybe it wasn't kind of thing. And so whenever I realized that it wasn't his plan for me, okay, he's obviously putting me somewhere else or keeping me here for a reason. And I need to be open and accepting to that reason because obviously he has something better in store for me. And that really just sparked a whole epiphany within my head that I just can't be so I can't be so in my own way because I think that I think I'm the ruler of my own life, which is not true. The true king and ruler of my life is Jesus Christ, and I can proudly say that. But for some reason, making an episode about trusting in God's plan for your life just seems super okay. I'm proclaiming myself, which I am, but that's just really scary because I don't know. You don't see many people doing that. And it's not that I'm afraid to do that. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of putting this in a different direction, which is completely fine. This has been on my heart for a reason, and so I'm gonna do it. And a big reason why I wanted to do this was because Alex Eubank, this guy, he is a fitness influencer, and I don't know, he posts a podcast about just where he talks about Jesus so openly, and I don't know, it kind of just made me reevaluate myself. I was like, I still do talk about Jesus on my podcast, but he's such a big part of who I am. And I don't know, I think I want to talk more about it because my whole episode on detachment, I feel literally that's just Jesus detaching me. I don't think that was me detaching myself. That's because a lot of the stuff that I would talk about as I would listen back, I didn't listen back to my episodes because I can only listen to my voice for so long. But whenever I would think back and reflect on those episodes, I'm like, those episodes are literally me talking about how the things that saved me was Jesus. None of it was me. And that just goes to show that trusting in his plan is so freeing because the only reason why I'm so okay with not getting this job, like me and Lyndon, the best friend who came on my podcast, Should You Live with Your Best Friend? If you haven't listened to that episode, you should go listen. It was a fun time. And we talked about how we were going to live together and we were so excited and I was just like thrilled. For whatever reason, I didn't get the job and Lyndon kept calling me and she's like, how are you so okay with not having it? Not trying to rub it in my face, I didn't have it, but she just was worried about me because, obviously she knew how excited I was to do this, to be working with her again. We both loved it last summer, so why wouldn't we want to do it this summer kind of thing? Which, I don't know, I kind of just made peace with it because I feel she heard back from them, like, if I haven't heard back from them, maybe that's God taking me out of the equation and putting me somewhere else because he knows that I won't say no to that opportunity because maybe he has a different opportunity for me somewhere else. And if that opportunity is even me staying here, like, okay, stop caring. Just let God work in my life and allow myself to actually trust in his plan. And something that really stuck with me in one of Alex Eubank's podcasts that he made was he was talking about how God gives you enough, he gives you a lamp to guide you to the next next scenario, next step, but he's not gonna light the path so much to where you can see miles and miles of where you're going next, because then you would get overwhelmed. And he doesn't want to overwhelm you. He's not a god of anxiety, and the anxiety is from the devil. The anxiety that you feel, why am I just getting out of breath? The anxiety that you feel is from the devil, and I feel anxiety all the time, and I know that's not from God. I know God doesn't want me to feel that way. And I think for a while I was just so scared of branching out and doing this, because people are going to think that, I don't know. It's just doing that is really proclaiming yourself. And it's not that I never wanted to do this. It was just, I don't know, Satan honestly was, you're going to get made fun of. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not. And it's weird to say that, because sometimes, even whenever I'm praying or something in public before I'm eating a meal, I'll pray. And sometimes I'm like, is anybody looking? And I'm like, don't think, why are you even thinking about that? Because that's not, that's not from God. And I know that God wants me to talk about him, but it's just sometimes, I don't know, I would just kind of get shy or stage fright. And I guess my struggles with trusting in God's plan have always just come from a place of wanting control in my life. And growing up, I felt very out of control because, and I remember, I don't know if y'all remember, but in one episode I talked about reading this book called The Mountain Is You. And so, updates, I have been reading that book, and it is very emotional, so I can only read 10 pages at a time, because oh my gosh, I'm literally doing everything that she's talking about. And one of the things that she was talking about, I wish I would have brought the book with me, because it's so good. Oh my gosh. It's about self-sabotage, and I wanted to make a whole episode about how I self-sabotage, and I'm kind of going on a tangent, but I mean, this episode was kind of just an intro to me getting more involved in my faith on the podcast, because I think it's more important for me to do that than anything else, because we need Jesus, and I need to stop being afraid to talk about him. One of the chapters within the book was talking about uprooting, and how whenever we uproot ourselves, that can be leaving a job like within 2 weeks and not giving it time to see how you adapt to the environment, or moving from place to place and only spending 3 months there, and then going to the next place, and quitting, moving schools, blah blah blah, just moving, uprooting, leaving a scenario to go to the next without giving yourself time to blossom, constantly having that need to have a fresh start. And whenever I read this, I was like, ooh, I don't want that. That feels a personal attack on my character right now, because that woman literally called me out. So I'm being called out right now. And I think that was a big thing for me, because going from one school to the next, back to the other, and then going to Destin and doing all this stuff, why do I always feel this need to uproot? And why do I always never allow myself to have that time to blossom? And I'm like, is that because I'm trying to change God's plan for me? But also at the same time, I know that God's plan is whatever's happening, because he is going to do whatever he needs to put me in the right situation. I know that everything that happens is his plan for me, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't know. If it doesn't, let me know. But constantly needing that, God isn't going to tell you the full plan, because he wants to give you enough to light the path, but he's not going to give you the whole torch. He's not going to say, okay, here is who you're going to get married to. Here is how the next job you're going to have. Here's the state you're going to live in. Here's how you're going to die. You're not going to know all of the details. He's going to tell you, okay, so tomorrow, well, he's not going to even tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to have to find out in the moment. And that's what he wants you to do, because he puts these rules on our lives, or not even rules. He puts these guidelines to live our life, because he wants good for us. He knows the harm if we don't follow these quote unquote rules or guidelines. But the truth is, it's because he knows that if we don't follow that, we're going to get hurt. And he's always right. You always end up hurt. If you do something that, I've done it so many times. This is another reason why I felt I wasn't comfortable branching out and doing more things about God, because I was like, I'm not perfect. I'm by no means perfect. I feel I have imposter syndrome half the time, because I'm like, am I even equipped to do this? Who who am I, you know? I'm just a girl. I'm just Elle Kramer. I'm just this girl with the little podcast who likes to do this, you know? That's just me. But who am I to think that I have the authority to tell other people what to do with their lives? And that's kind of, I had to reframe the narrative in my head. And I'm like, no, it's not me telling people what to do with their lives. It's me proclaiming how God has changed my life and how he just talking about my love for him. I think the hardest thing about for me was I just didn't want to offend people, I guess, because I know so many people have had so many bad experiences within the faith, or they're afraid to talk about their faith because they don't want to offend anybody, or even it's not that I'm afraid to offend anybody. It's just I like to live my life in a way that people can see Jesus through me. And that makes them want to be like, huh, why is that girl so happy? Why is she so happy? And it's because Jesus. Like, I didn't find God in church. I found God whenever I was crying in my room by myself. Like, whenever I was begging him to fix me, is whenever I found him. I didn't find him whenever I was. I mean, yes, I feel connected with God whenever I'm in church, but whenever you feel hopeless is whenever I found him. Like, whenever I hit rock bottom, I realized that he was the rock at the bottom. And I just needed to reach up to him because he's always there. Struggling again with imposter syndrome, I've always struggled with that. And I'm like, I'm not good enough. And even in God, even within my relationship with God, I'm like, if I sin or if I do something that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm unlovable now. That's not true. That's not what he wants you to think. He knows your heart and he knows that the love that you have to give for others. And okay, I'm going to talk about God because I love him and that's it. And the reason that I'm so okay with not getting this job in Destin is because it all comes back to trusting in his plan for me. And I'm finally able to actually trust in his plan for me because even if I don't, I know that I'm not going to the beach this summer anymore. I know I'm not living there. There's a high percent chance that I will be living in Lafayette, Louisiana for the summer. And like, safe to say that's not the ideal scenario that I wanted. But I mean, obviously God has something else in store for me that I can't see, and I have to trust in that. And the next step up from trusting in God's plan for yourself is having faith. That's something my mom told me. Elle, you just need to have faith in his plan for you. And maybe your plan isn't what you think it's supposed to be, and it's probably better than anything you can ever imagine. How am I so okay with not going? Because I know that there's something better. And I think God right now is just telling me to chill out. Like, I think he's just like, oh, I need you to relax. Everything's happening at the time it's happening. It might be happening slower than you want it to happen, but it's happening. And you might not be able to see the way that I'm working within your life, but one day you will. And right now, you just need to focus on your feet and focus on the task that you're doing right now in front of you and stop worrying about tomorrow because tomorrow will come. And tomorrow's problems are tomorrow's problems. Yesterday's problems, leave them to yesterday. If it's not going to matter, give yourself 24 hours to be upset about something. And then, I mean, depending on the severity, use your discretion. But if you can, use process your emotions as they come. Like, if you're feeling sad that you lost your basketball game, be sad for those 24 hours. But then and 24 hours from now, be ready to go to the next game with a clear head and a level mind because all of that is just brain fog and that's not from God. I mean, obviously, so much easier said than done. And I'm still working on trusting in his plan for me, but it it's something that's gradually happening for me. Like, this is not something that I can just be like, how to trust in God's plan for your life, or even this is just my experience with it. And it's so freeing once you actually do trust in his plan. I just always have struggled with the fear of the unknown and not knowing what's going to come next. So not exactly knowing what I want to do after college. I'm graduating in the fall, and the fact that I'm okay with graduating in the fall instead of May, because I should be graduating in May, but I'm okay with that because I know obviously there's a reason that I'm not graduating in May. God is like, no, you need to be here for one more semester. And okay, cool. Then I'll do that because that's what he wants for me. And I'm gonna stop being in my own way. I just feel like I'm so in my own way so much, and I think I don't know. I feel good things coming, guys, and I know that they are. And sometimes you just have to allow yourself to blossom in the place that you are and stop uprooting. And that's like the main thing that I wanted to say today. I feel I was constantly in a place of where I'm uprooting my life. I'm moving, I'm leaving jobs, I'm starting something new, I'm changing my hair because I can't stick it out and see what it would turn into if I just let it, because I'm so impatient and I just want to take control of everything and everyone. So whenever things wouldn't go my way, I would just be like, okay, I want to get out of here. I want to go. Nobody talk to me kind of thing. But am I sweating? No. Okay, nice. I thought I was sweating for a second. That would have been embarrassing. But actually that's not embarrassing, because if you sweat, that's still super good for you. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say, you guys. I really think I want to start talking more about just my experiences with God and with my faith and ways for me to grow in it. And I think I just need to stop being afraid to do that, because that's literally, I know that's Satan telling me to be afraid to post stuff this, because it's nothing to be afraid of. It's put on my heart for a reason, and that's definitely 100% from God, because there's no way that it's from something else. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, I love you guys. And leave prayer intentions. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And I can't wait to see you guys next Friday. And so, with that, stay savage and stay tuned for another episode of What the Elle every Friday. Love you. Bye.